Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, what's new in ProPresenter 7.5? Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I help you learn all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And if you like learning all about all the new versions that Renewed Vision has been putting out in the last, well, a little over a year, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. One of the things that happened when Renewed Vision changed their business model back in January of 2020 was that they promised a lot more updates, and they have delivered. One such update is the one that we're going to talk about today, ProPresenter 7.5. So as I'm recording this, ProPresenter 7.5 came into beta at the end of April 2021, and it's the beginning of May 2021, and it's out, and there's even been a bug update. So let's head over to my computer, and I'll tell you all about the exciting new stuff in ProPresenter 7.5. So one thing that you should know is that I hear some people say, well, I'm just going to wait until ProPresenter 8. Let me refresh your memory. Every new major version of ProPresenter has included the addition of at least one new layer. ProPresenter 7 had the announcements layer. Well, ProPresenter 7.5 has the props and messages layer. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, it always had the props and messages layer. But one thing that you should know is while these two buttons were here before, they affected one layer. You could just clear different aspects of that one layer. That's no longer the case. With ProPresenter 7.5, it actually, each one of those are their own layers. So if we go into screens and then edit looks, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. Before in 7.4 on back, it said props / messages, but now we've got messages above the props layer. So they're now two distinct layers. Now, I know that this causes some confusion, but in my mind, this is the biggest update that ProPresenter 7 has had so far because we get a whole new layer. The advantage of this is I can send props to, let's say, my live stream, and I can send messages to my in-person congregation, or what have you. And I can send both or neither. I just have a lot more flexibility because now instead of one layer, there are two. So I have more layers with ProPresenter 7.5. So that is very cool. Another thing is in here I can rearrange these looks presets if I want to, and that gives me a lot of power as well. You know, you might have several looks presets and you only use 3 or 4 normally, but unfortunately they were the last 2 or 3 that you added, and it's just not convenient. No longer the case with ProPresenter 7.5. So that is a big deal as well. Also, if I get rid of my picture-in-picture down here, you'll notice that down here in the lower right-hand corner, it used to be that we only had the audio bin. But now we've got these other show controls, is what they're calling them. So we have the stage control, we've got timers, we've got messages, and we've got props. So it might be a little confusing when you update to 7.5 that these 4 buttons are no longer up here, but the reason for that is they used to float over the main interface up there. Not particularly helpful. So now we can select between each of those and deal with them. So that's another cool thing that they've added here in ProPresenter 7.5. Now let's head over into the editor. So I can go there by doing Control E on a Mac, and that'll take me there. Oops. wrong thing. Let me go back to show. Just by clicking on the show button, I could have done Control S. It's probably Alt E and Alt S on a Windows machine, if I'm remembering. So I'm just going to click on that. You can see that that has shown up here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to get rid of that. And let's edit this slide. Okay. So I don't have a look up right now that is showing this, but here I've got a couple of other things that they've added. Gradient text and the ability to highlight just certain words while also having a background color. All new in ProPresenter 7.5. Something else that you may not know about is ProPresenter 7.4 supported the M1 Macs, the Apple Silicon Macs, very quickly after they came out. Pro 7.4 did that. Well, Pro 7.5 adds native NDI support. So if you're sending the output of ProPresenter to other software within the same Mac, like OBS, for example, or if you're sending it over the network to either a Windows machine or another Mac, that is very, very helpful to do with NDI. But before, you had to run that in Rosetta. Well, NewTek has updated NDI, so now it is supported on the Apple Silicon M1 Macs. So now Renewed Vision has done the same with ProPresenter 7.5. So ProPresenter 7.5 has native NDI support. So that's something cool as well. Something I'm not going to show you because I have the registered version here is it does have the ability to get an in-app trial. So if you haven't bought ProPresenter yet and you want to try it out, you used to have to go to renewedvision.com, fill out a form there. Now you can do that within ProPresenter 7 itself. Helpful if you've already got it. Not all that helpful to you, but to new users, perhaps very helpful. Finally, there is one other thing that I want to highlight. So if we go into ProPresenter preferences here, and I think it's under audio or advanced. Let's see here. It's under advanced. So not too long ago, I released a tutorial on how to solve the problem if you were playing audio from the audio bin and you had a foreground piece of media show up. How to solve that problem because it was just stopping it. Even if it was a foreground still, it would stop the audio. Well, ProPresenter 7.5, they've fixed that, so you don't have to do that hack anymore. And in order to do that, we have these choices. So what I can do is for the presentation and announcements layer, I have all these different options here for what I want to do. So if I want it to clear the audio, it can. If I want it to pause the audio, it can. It can do just all kinds of fun stuff. And in a future tutorial, we're going to go through all of these individual things, and I'm going to talk all about each of those. One final thing that I wanted to talk about, and I don't think that I've seen this talked about a lot of places, but if you click here in a text box and we go to this, under linked text, I've got a lot of new choices as well. So that's something else. It used to be that this was a much shorter list, but in 7.5 they've beefed it up a little bit more than they even did in 7.4. One thing is, I will tell you, text ticker still doesn't work. So sorry if you were waiting on that. I really expected them to fix it by now, but that's just, I'm guessing, because I don't work for Renewed Vision. I'm just their biggest fan. So it wouldn't surprise me if that didn't get fixed sooner or later, but it's probably lower on the priority list. If it's something that really, really matters to you, then by all means, make sure you reach out to them and tell them, because they don't know what to do first unless you tell them. So tell them the things that you want them to do first so that they can bump those up the priority list. No guarantee if it's just you asking for something that it'll happen, but if it's a lot of people and everyone else is assuming someone else is going to do it, then that's really not all that helpful for them to not know it. Everyone has to say, hey, this is a problem, or that's a problem, or add this feature or add that feature, so that they know, because they want to serve you. I've talked to these people at Renewed Vision a lot, and I know that that's their heart, is to serve. Despite anything you might think, just filter it through the lens of their heart is to serve you, and help them by kindly telling them when something needs to be tweaked or improved or something. And no guarantees, because it could be you're the only one that thinks that, or it could be they just needed one more person to tell them that. So keep that in mind. So that is all the new features that I could think of. I think I've got them all on my post-it note in ProPresenter 7.5. If you like this content, I know you'd like my ProPresenter 7 Quick Start course. So head on over to TDM.fyi/Pro7Quick. Give me your name and email address, and then I'll make a login for you where you can take that course for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.